out there once again, Hidden Levels viewers. This is the gamer guy in a suit as a guest of Manic Adoos once again to bring you a fantastic little game. I believe I'm going to pronounce it right, with Alekhines Gun, which essentially seems like a Death to Spies 3. I think they snuck this one in on us, guys. But what we've got here is like a brand new stealth action game from Maximum Games and KISS Ltd. And take my word for it, this is not just some Hitman clone by any means. This game actually stands very well all on its own and is just an absolute delight. The very first level, just to give you a little background, does take place in like a very end of World War II type era, but after that it's all Cold War type era, so you're talking a more modern feel. Hey, don't let the first level fool you. I didn't want to show too much of this game off because I don't want to ruin its fantastic story. One of the best things about this, for being an action game, it's really got a gripping story. It's very engaging and very, very immersive. And the graphics are pretty good too. And you want to talk about the immersion, the sound really brings it together. So what's going on, you ask? Well, it's very much like a Hitman style game in that you're an assassin. You're an assassin in the Cold War era, except for that first level. And, well, what makes this game stand apart, very much like Hitman, is that, in fact, maybe it even pulls it off better than Hitman, in my opinion. It's got these open levels. There's 11 of them altogether. I haven't made it through all 11 yet, by any means, because they are difficult. But they're completely open, so let me explain that a bit. Let's say for the first level, for example, you've got yourself 4 objectives to handle during that level. You can go about tackling these 4 objectives in any way, shape, or form you choose. You don't have to do them in the order that they're presented to you. You can do the order that you seem fit for your particular strategy. You don't have to do your deaths a certain way. You don't even have to kill anybody except for your specific targets. You are presented with options to kind of take people out quietly. Just make sure, for one thing, whether you kill them or knock them out, that you're hiding the bodies. They do kind of decrease your stealth, I guess would be a good way to put it. You want to remain stealthy. This is a stealth game first and foremost. So if you're going to take someone out and steal their clothes so that you can sneak around in these buildings and stuff, you're going to need to hide away these bodies. And there's different places to tuck them away, or little rooms that you can hide them in and stuff like that. And the more you explore these levels through a sort of trial and error type basis, the more you'll be able to figure out different things you can do and maybe different ways to go about the levels, which is important because you see what this game has integrated is that all these different ways that you go about these missions can actually affect later missions in the game. This is a big deal. This is going to make this game heavily replayable. You can play through it once and play through it again and get a different ending, and play through it again and get a completely different ending, all depending on how you've actually gone through and chosen to do all these objectives. It all depends on your decisions, your choices, your stealth ranking. There's a lot more going on than meets the eye. There's also some slight like RPG leveling stuff going on so that you can affect your layout for future missions, which does seem to become key later on because you're going to want like silenced pistols and whatnot for one of those times when shooting someone may be absolutely necessary. Now, to go over some of the most positive and negative aspects that stuck out. For the positives, like I mentioned before, this is an incredibly immersive world, and you will find yourself analyzing each level very carefully. Those of you that go through the Dark Souls style of trial and error and it has to be perfect, has to be perfect, has to be perfect, you may kind of like that. You can get some of that out of this game. You can go through a level one way and think, no, this isn't the best way to do it, and go through it a completely different way, and keep trying until you find what works for you. The storyline is just incredible for this game. It plays out like an actual movie. The cutscenes are very well done. I mean, the artwork is beautifully done. The voice acting is well done. I didn't want to give away any of that. I did a very, very brief clip of a cutscene at the very beginning of this video, and that's it. Because I don't want to give away any of the story at all. It is very important that you let it unfold for your choices in your own way. And the RPG style point system that makes him somewhat customizable, like I just mentioned, I do really like the layout idea. I think that's a fantastic way to go about that. Those are some of the positives for me. Some of the negatives, there seems to be sort of a way to to game the stealth system, in that some of the detection seems a little off in some areas where you can kind of get around certain things that maybe you shouldn't be able to get around. And I noticed that you can increase your stealth rating overall at the end of levels by crouching in areas maybe where you don't need to, just because it lowers your vision. There's something there that you can kind of game a little bit, in other words. And this may be a negative for some and not all. Like I was mentioning before, there's a lot of trial and error gameplay. And if that's not your kind of thing, this is going to frustrate you. I'm usually not that patient, but I found myself being much more patient with this game because I really loved everything that was going on. The story, the gameplay, everything. It's controller friendly. I prefer the keyboard and mouse setup for my taste, but it is controller friendly. So even for this gamer who's not a fan of most stealth games, I found this to be very engaging, very immersive, and very fun. And the ability to go about the missions in any way you choose is just top notch. You will find yourself changing your strategy on the fly very often throughout this game. You learn to adapt like a true hitman. For my final verdict, I give it an 8 out of 10. I absolutely love it, and I'm not even a big stealth action guy, so for me to give this an 8 out of 10 is kind of a big deal, if you ask me. This stands up there with the Hitman series, quite honestly. It's not a clone, it's not a knockoff, it's its own thing, and it's just as good as that series. You can really put it up there with that. Go out there and grab it. You will be pleasantly surprised. Great storyline. It's like watching a movie, being able to interact with it. 8 out of 10. Go get it. I'd like to once again thank Manicadoo and the Hidden Levels for allowing me to review this and getting the key for me. I'm sure they got it from the developer or publisher, but that in no way influenced my decision on the game in any way. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I'm pretty sure you will too. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks again for having me, guys. I hope you subscribe to the Hidden Levels because I have. They're a great, great group of people to follow. Twitch, YouTube, all that. As always, folks, happy gaming.